Hello everyone, I'm Wave, and today I thought I would talk about a pretty admittedly broad topic, but figured I would talk about how just incredibly niche the visual novel genre is, and linking that together with what I would call console visual novels, and the various things that these developers are trying to do in order to make visual novels have a broader appeal to potential players, but at the same time, how all of those attempts haven't really amounted to much. So, one thing that I was kind of thinking of when I played the ReZero visual novel a little while back was, so it's a console visual novel. Let me get that out of the way. So I would kind of say that it's something that I've mentioned on the channel before. And I kind of feel like a console visual novel is basically whenever there is a bigger IP attached to a visual novel. So something like ReZero, big anime IP, and it is attached to a visual novel. It's on the shorter end of things. I think my playthrough of the ReZero visual novel was somewhere between like 8 to 10 hours, and it's pretty expensive. I waited forever to actually play it, because I think when it first came out, it was $50. Ended up finally biting on it when it dropped down to $12 on sale on Steam. So that's already like, okay, I'm in that target audience of being someone that is willing to bite on visual novels despite how niche they are. But even then, it took me a while to get into it. I've only played like a couple of games that I would consider to be, console visual novels, which obviously, I do feel like, with the term console, it is something to where it'll be on like PlayStation or whatever. And ReZero didn't really have a good like control scheme for keyboard and mouse, so you kind of like you could tell that it was very much made for PlayStation. But one thing that I really noticed when playing it was how they have gameplay mixed in with it. A lot of people don't really like gameplay when it comes to visual novels. Even just by judging on my own channel, the amount of people that have watched the Baldur's Sky videos, yeah, people don't particularly like playing gameplay when it comes to visual novels, but when it came to, ReZero, I can imagine the developers of the game wanted to try and get more people in on it, so they used the bits of gameplay where you are going around the map trying to like get items and solve puzzles in order to like get to like the end of like a battle, or various other like scenarios where you kind of have to, like I said, solve the puzzle in order to get to the next progression of story. And it is forced. It is a little like not repetitive, but it is just like when I was first going into it, I felt it was pretty light. Like they hadn't really plugged too much detail into the gameplay. After playing it, I did kind of change my view on that. But whilst I was playing ReZero, I really did get into my mind the idea of how these console visual novels are trying to like break out and make visual novels boom in the same way, kind of like how anime did a couple years back, and then to like a lesser degree manga as well. So that's one example of a console visual novel. Now the other idea of one that I personally haven't played because kind of the same issues, pricing, and then also I've heard very negative things about, is Steins Gate Elite. Now that same thing was made almost more so for console release rather than on PC. And essentially Steins Gate Elite, from what I understand without having played it, is essentially a like complete remake of the original Steins Gate visual novel, taking scenes from the anime adaptation and putting that into game form. I did a little bit of research on it, and it seems like they took anime scenes and plugged in the voice work from the visual novel. They try to lip sync it. It kind of redoes the scenes over and over again because of the fact that it would take them too long to create multiple long form anime scenes as opposed to just looping the clips over and over again while you're reading. But it was essentially taking the various things from the anime adaptation, removing whatever uniqueness that the original game had in from various scenes to also just the art style. I really did enjoy Steins Gate, the game, and how it kind of has this very unique, what I would describe as a stained glass artistic style with how the characters are drawn and the coloring that's used. All of that's removed, and I do think Steins Gate Elite was created in a way to where people watch the anime and they want more, and the developers of the original game have a hard time selling people on Steins Gate the games because of the fact that it is a visual novel. It's not I can imagine, if let's say there was at some point in time some sort of Persona-esque, not RPG, but just kind of the after school kind of vibe where you can roam around the city kind of game. And for Steins Gate, I imagine that would do gangbusters. But the visual novel itself is a tough sell to a majority of audiences because of just how incredibly niche the visual novel scene is. So Steins Gate Elite, I would say, is the absolute biggest example of, developers trying to kind of break the mold and break out, get more people in to the visual novel genre, and in many ways just absolutely failing because of, like I've said, with the pricing, just the various things that people that are already inside of the visual novel bubble don't like when it comes to censorship. Now, I don't really think visual novels kind of are going to be able to at any point really break out and become a phenomenon like anime or manga to the lesser degree, because of just from what I understand the roots of how visual novels kind of cropped up, it is a majority or it is mostly a PC player base for the most part, and then also just from how it was born with it, visual novels being a little bit too equated to dating sims and all the various things that come along with that, whether that be different dialogue choices, but then also if all of the various hoops and hurdles you'd have to go through in order to patch your games in order to get all the content. Not even just strictly to that too. I can think of the Higurashi games, that for whatever reason when it's released in the West is just the base version that was released however long ago in Japan with 2 other options for character sprites, but then all the background and the music and whatever is exactly as it was back then. And there is this massive mod pack that you have to install onto each and every individual episode of Higurashi in order to get the console content, and in order to get voice acting. So visual novels as a whole is a very tough medium to get into, and I really don't think that there is many ways that different developers are going to ever be able to break out. The closest we got to that was probably Doki Doki Literature Club back in the day, and that was mostly for shock factor and because of the contents of DDLC and the various YouTube influencers that jumped aboard the hype train and started playing it. But I haven't seen anything since that's been remotely that same deal, and yeah, I really don't think visual novels will ever be able to break out and become anything more than the niche hobby that it currently is. But those have been my thoughts. Feel free to leave your own in the comments down below. I've been Wave, and thank you for watching.